The default Instagram settings for children under 16 block them from live streaming or looking at nudity in direct messages. Only their parents can turn off those restrictions. Meta is also adding its existing Instagram restrictions to teen accounts on Facebook and Messenger.
The Dow's up 1,282, S&P ahead 172. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Harbor Freight knows time is money, so for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. This weekend, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll cabs under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sometimes, strange things can happen.
Coast to coast, all night, every night.
There's really no reason to be afraid.
On WGNS, AM, FM, online.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
We're the Good Neighbor Network. FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro. FM 100.5 Smyrna. Audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday morning Roundtable show with Rick and Wayne. And can't wait. Today's going to be a great show, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it. Is you fair weather? Good?
I tell you what, I am ready for old man winter to
get out of here.
Get out of here.
Is that the truth?
I'm tired of this. But hey, I'm enjoying the sunshine this morning and hopeful that we've turned the corner on this weather. Goodness gracious, was that not the weather patterns coming over us here over the last several days. Goodness. Prayers for the especially for the people down in Selma, and it just destroyed that place.
Sure is. And the water damage, I think that's what's not getting reported on enough, is the amount of water damage that everybody's got going on right now. And of course, that's an insurance. We've gotten a lot of people calling us here lately. I got a black cherry tree down on a guy's playhouse this morning I'm going to have to deal with when I get out of here.
Goodness.
So, and it fell yesterday, so it just got worn out.
Yeah,
so.
The ground is so
wet,
and eventually it just gets top heavy and just falls over. But been a crazy, wet, tornadic spring. Just makes no sense of it, but it is what it is. So, Brother Rick, like you said, we got a great program. We've got one of our favorites, Murfreesboro City Mayor Shane McFarland, and we're really pleased to have you this morning, Mayor, and welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I've known you for years, just met Rick, so it's been good to be here. And something I will add, we were talking about this before the show came on. We have got just a great group in Rutherford County in our emergency service providers, our police, our fire, our EMS, our dispatchers. Because, what a lot of people don't see is while all this is going on, even though that we were fortunate and we really didn't get a lot of the storms that stayed west, but all of our people were all prepared and working as if something was going to happen, and we were all thankful. It's like, hey, prepare for the worst and
Yes, sir.
pray that the least happens, and that's what happened. But we've got a good group in Rutherford County, Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne. We all work together. It's that old saying that when your house is on fire, you don't argue how much the water hose costs. You go help,
right.
go help your
Exactly.
neighbor.
Well,
So
God bless all these first
Yeah.
responders. We're really blessed. Mayor Rick and I, this show has primarily over the last 3 years focused on the northern end of the county.
Yeah.
And of course, we have shows from time to time, like today, that where the county community is impacted by certain issues, and tickled to have you this morning. But always in this first segment, we always try to get our guests to talk about themselves and their families and their journey.
Sure.
Because maybe some people in the northern end of the county may not know you as well as the citizens here in Murfreesboro.
Yeah, well, I tell the people in the northern end, you've got good representation with your Smyrna City Council, your Smyrna Mayor, Laverne Alderman. I always joke with Mary Esther. I was telling you that we joke about, I'm like, Mary Esther, one of these days y'all grow up and y'all can be a city instead of a town. And then she immediately pops back and says, yeah, but you had to hire a city manager that's from Smyrna to manage your city. So, our city manager, Darren Gore, is a graduate of Smyrna High School and doing a great job. But I moved here in 1992 with my twin brother to go to MTSU and never left. Enjoyed it here so much that, I've raised my family here. My wife was born and raised here. Met her. She went to UT, and we have 3 boys. We have Luke and Eli are twins, so I'm a twin that has twins.
Wow.
And they're sophomores at UT, and then I have a 12-year-old. So it started in city government back in 2000, I think was the year, on the planning commission, and served 4 or 5 years on the planning commission, served on the city council for 8 years, and then I've been mayor I'm on my 3rd term, and learned a lot. Murfreesboro's growth over the last really 10, 12 years, even before that, it has, much like Smyrna and Laverne, I mean, you've got so many people that back 20 years ago couldn't afford to live in Davidson County, and they were all migrating to Rutherford County, which contributes to some of our traffic issues on 24. But, in fast forward, COVID happens 2021, and now the amount of people who have moved here from all over the country, it's just amazing. So we continue to work on all the things that people see. I think our number one complaint that we get is traffic. That's our big announcement yesterday for Smyrna and for Murfreesboro in the 10-year plan, which is that's the holy grail with TDOT. It was announced that Smyrna is getting the Almaville Road interchange off of I-24, that TDOT's going to fund that. That's
Diamond.
Yeah, to fix Almaville Road. And then Murfreesboro, it was announced that we are getting the Old Fort widening project. So Old Fort's going to be widened all the way back to Highway 96 and the interchange. And then we were also given more money to finish up the 840 Cherry Lane interchange, which is going to be huge for the north end of the county, because all those people who are coming in Murfreesboro don't have to come into Murfreesboro now. So if you're going to the soccer park or you're going to the wherever, you can get off of Broad Street and be able to get over to the north side and not ever have to go to Thompson Lane or stay on Broad Street.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's the hard area. I live over towards that way, Florence and Leanna, that area. So, yeah, it's big.
It's going to be good for you guys.
Well, in Cherry Lane, when they're doing the soccer tournaments, if you're trying to come off one of the side streets, it's almost impossible.
No, I think that whole corridor of Leanna Swamp Road, Sulphur Springs interchange, now the Cherry Lane interchange, you're going to have a 5-lane road that's going to take you from dang near Jefferson Pike all the way back to 840, all the way over 840 to where you can go to Broad Street. Then the project that now is in the study is to be able to go back across Florence Road all the way back to I-24, and you won't have to get on any of the local roads. You can just go straight across. So it's a big deal.
I'll tell you what, I'm hopeful that 840 and I-24 can be brought up to snuff with I-40 and I-65, because you don't see the rough spots on 40 and 65 that you do on 840 and I-24.
Yeah, the big sort of question mark over the last year has been the Choice Lane project, and that's what the Choice Lane project. We're in Smyrna, Laverne, and Murfreesboro. Really, a portion of Laverne and Smyrna is in the phase 1. Everything that's really this side of Almaville Road is in phase 2. So what that is, they're going through the process right now to identify who the contractor is going to be, and they're getting the proposals, and then that person's going to be responsible for the phase 1 all the way into Nashville, and then the phase 2 coming all the way down to Murfreesboro.
So basically, we're going to have a hybrid toll road?
Pretty much.
And so I guess my question is, I was always a proponent of the red light cameras.
Yeah.
People run in Nashville. A red light camera, a stop sign, apparently is a suggestion.
It's that way in Murfreesboro too.
But my understanding is that it was unconstitutional because of the photo. That you didn't have an officer there to say, hey, I saw you run it or whatever. What's the difference between that and this toll road if you get on it and they don't, and they take a picture of you being on the toll road?
I don't know. That's a good question. We got rid of the red light cameras about 3 years ago. The way that we were doing it was constitutional, and the state agreed with it.
Yes, sir.
But what you'll see with those red light cameras, you get to almost like a diminishing return where they work really well for a while and then it drops off. So that's one of the reasons that we got rid of ours. I mean, people running red lights is a significant issue in all of our communities, but the choice lane, I don't know if that's because it's a user fee, so you're paying to use that, and if you use a portion that you don't pay to use, then I think they would see that as, hey, you're violating the law that's in place. So I'm not sure. I mean, I've only used choice lanes one time, and that was in Georgia. We were going to my 12-year-old plays travel baseball, and we were going to a baseball tournament that was outside of Atlanta. And it was pretty neat. I mean, it's right in the middle of the interstate, and you get on there, and I mean, you are wide open the entire time.
Autobahn.
Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't really know what I was getting on, so I got on there and didn't. Clearly I didn't have the tag, not being from here, and so I got a nice little reminder in the mail that said, "Hey, you used our choice lanes."
The cameras off your tag of your car.
Yeah, here's how much you. Now I will say this: Murfreesboro initiated almost a year ago a program where we're doing LPV, the license plate LPRs, the license plate reader program, and it has helped our law enforcement communities greatly, where we've been able to catch people. I mean, we got a hit and run the other day where they took their license tag off because they knew that they were going to get read, but we got them before that. They triangulated and they arrested them. And then the other night, we also had this technology. It's a spot shotter or a shot detector, and so there was basically a transaction where someone was buying a PlayStation or something that went wrong, and the guy thought, hey, something's getting ready to happen to me, and he left, and they started firing shots at his truck, and our system was able to triangulate. We arrested 3 people. They weren't from Murfreesboro, that tried to shoot somebody over that. So there's lots of good things in our law enforcement community that's really happening.
Well, the 90 and 100 mile an hour drivers on 24, I wish there was some system to get them, if you will.
Yeah, it's take all the other things that we're dealing with in our community. I think traffic is an issue. People want to live. Take all of those factors. Talk the landfill. The thing that sort of trumps all of that is people want to know that they live in a safe community. And I mean, for the first time since I've been on council, our police department's fully staffed. I mean, we did a significant pay increase back in July of last year, where the starting salary for one of our police officers is about $65,000 now, $64,000. Same thing with our firefighters. We adjusted that, and the good news is our pay plan that we put in place worked. The bad news is we typically budget about 8 to 10% of year of vacancies in our budget, and those are not there anymore. It's like 1%, and so. The good news is what we did worked. The bad news is what we did worked, and we gotta pay for all of it. So, but I think most people in our community, if you tell them, and I'm not advocating this, we're going through our budget now, but I think most people don't mind spending money on public safety and making sure that our police officers and our firefighters and our dispatchers and our EMS providers are well paid.
Well, first responders are certainly in my prayers each day too.
Well, and it's cool to be in law enforcement again. We've gone through that whole stage, 2020 and everything else, and that's the last thing anybody would want to be as a police officer. And I think we've gone over that again now to where it's kind of cool again. But I've said that to the Smyrna mayor and Laverne mayor and everybody else that we usually have in here. It's wonderful to live in Rutherford County, because if it bleeds, it leads on your local news. It just does. It's what gets the clicks online, and you're seeing a lot of that in Nashville, and their murders are on a rise. But that invisible line of our county line at Old Hickory Boulevard, all of a sudden, we just don't have that down there. And Metro detectives would always tell me when I was working, if somebody out of Nashville and did something down here in Rutherford County, they're like, we hate to say it, but we're glad they came down there and did something, because we know they'll get caught now.
Yeah,
because they're just overwhelmed.
And they'll be prosecuted.
Yeah, sure. We'll take care of it.
I mean, that's the thing. I think I'm not going to get into the national stuff, but I think what you're seeing nationally, and we talk about immigration.
Yeah.
If you don't think that the decisions that were being made at the federal level were affecting us at the local level, you're dead wrong.
Mistaken.
And so no matter which side of the aisle you're on, ultimately those decisions affect your local taxpayer. And so I think what you were seeing with our local law enforcement is just a sense of helplessness, that they would catch a bad guy and they would take that bad guy away. We would try to prosecute, or they would go to the federal side and then they let go,
That's right.
And so I think it's we just want our community to be safe. And I don't think that's a Republican or a Democratic issue or Democrat issue. That's a community issue, that you want to make sure that your police officers are respected, that your police officers and your firefighters are paid well. And most importantly, I think they want to know that they're protected. It's easy when things are going well to champion our police and fire and say we're supporters, but when something happens that they're in a tough situation, I mean, they want to know that their elected officials in their community have their back.
Exactly right.
And that's what you can say about Rutherford County. When everybody in 2020 was talking about defund the police, and we're going to take, we all said no. We want to make sure that we protect the best and the brightest that we have in our community. We want to attract the best and brightest, and so our recruiter that we have at Murfreesboro, I mean, we had to put a recruiter in place that is like trying to pull people in, because you have to be careful. I mean, if some people are wanting to come to your community to be a police officer, there may be a reason why they're leaving the community that they're leaving. So you want to be careful. But what he tells me is one of the first questions that they ask is, will the elected officials in this community support me? And he unequivocally says, absolutely, the people in our community support our law enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell a funny story on myself,
Sure.
Mayor? Teresa and I had gone to Sir Pizza, and we were going in, and I thought you were coming out. And I said, "Hey, Mayor, how you doing?" And apparently it was your twin brother. Yeah. and he smiled, nodded his head, and kept on walking.
So it's funny. So
he could do some bad jokes with you on that.
Well, what's funny is I always laugh to say, when something's not going well and somebody comes up, I'm going to say, "Hey, you got the wrong one. You need to talk to my twin brother."
Exactly. It works both ways.
You really want to. So my
great.
wife and I, we've been married 26 years. Sean and Betty have been married 20 plus years. But about 2016, so about 10 years ago, they actually bought the house that Ashley and I were living in.
because, they'd been there, and we were like, hey, we're going to put our house up for sale. Sean's like, I want it. So you can imagine the amount of people that thought that I had gotten a new wife because living in the neighborhood.
So they don't look anything alike?
No, Lord, no. And Sean and I do look, we look enough alike that if you saw us, you probably wouldn't know.
Well, I made that mistake.
Yeah, so you can imagine the amount of people that were like, hey, Shane's living in the house, but there's a different lady living in that house with him. So it was pretty funny.
You got to have a wife with a sense of humor.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, you want to take our first break, and then we'll be able to come back and we'll talk a little bit of trash and what's going on with all that. Does that sound good?
Talk today.
You listen to Murfreesboro Mayor Shane McFarland with the Rick and Wayne Show this morning. We'll be right back with you in just a minute.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
Shot, growing in Christ with life and athletic skills.
So we teach God's Word at everything we do to implant it in them so that they understand that the only way to get through the world is with God on their side.
First Shot founder and executive director Andy Herzer.
Our focus is on our inner city here at Patterson Park.
From academics to athletics, First Shot's focus is toward building a stronger, more courageous spirit to face opportunities and obstacles that our youth confront every day. To find out more about First Shot, go to firstshottn.org.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Game day is coming, and are you ready to represent the Blue Raiders? At Raider Tees, we've got the largest selection of officially licensed Middle Tennessee gear in town. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, even tailgating essentials. You name it, we've got it. No more searching through random stores. Everything you need is right here at 111 East MTCS Road, right across from MTCS. Get game day ready at Raider Tees. Bigger, better, and go blue.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
You've probably heard it a million times. If you're injured, call a lawyer. And you probably haven't, because you don't know how much it will cost, how long it will take, or even if you have a case. At the law offices of John Day, we provide a free initial consultation because we understand that folks don't want to pay a lawyer only to find out they don't have a case. If you think we can help, we do so on a contingency basis, which means we only get paid if you do. Seriously injured? Call me, John Day.
Now, WGNS Good Neighbor Events. Well, here's another Easter egg hunt. This one begins at 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. And it's at the Lee Victory Recreation Park in Smyrna. That's the Smyrna Fire and Police Department's annual Easter egg hunt, starting at 1 o'clock this Saturday at the Lee Victory Recreation Park. And the Easter Bunny will be there for pictures. And in the event of rain, it'll be postponed to the following Saturday. And yes, it's free. The Spring Festival is this Saturday at the World Outreach Church. It starts at 4 Saturday afternoon and continues until 8 in the evening. And the Red Cross is still critically low on blood. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Don't throw away Old Glory. Bring your tattered American flags to WGNS. And let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Skies become mostly sunny here this afternoon with a high in the mid-50s. Tonight, mostly clear, low near 30. By Wednesday, sunshine, high of 67 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS.
Currently, it's 38.
Middle Tennessee Electric presents the Rutherford County 24th Annual Earth Day celebration April 26th, 10 to 2 on the Murfreesboro Square. They'll provide free hot dogs and popcorn and the electric griddle food truck serving up those gourmet grilled cheese. Free fun for the whole family April 26th on the Square.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And good morning and welcome back to the second segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's certainly Rick and my pleasure to have Murfreesboro City Mayor Shane McFarland with us this morning. And we got the niceties out of the way here in the first segment.
Yeah,
and,
this is a great group to talk with. I enjoy these.
Well, when Rick and I decided to partner up and do this, we wanted this show to be an information opportunity that we invited people like yourself that would share your heart, your opinion,
sure.
For everybody in this county community to get to hear what your thoughts are. Last week we had Mike Klassen from Republic, their director of operations, if you will, and
sure.
And we asked him questions, and he shared what he wanted the public to know, and we wanted to get with you and have that same conversation and let you share
sure.
what your heart tells you.
Yeah, and I think that's the important part. Like I'm a part-time mayor. Probably a lot more.
As big as Murfreesboro is, why is it still part-time?
Well, we have a council manager form of government, city manager form of government.
Yeah.
And I probably would argue that it's the best of both worlds because we have someone like Darren Gore, Smyrna guy, engineer, very educated, very detailed, that he's trained to do a lot of this. We're the city of Murfreesboro, we're almost a $2 billion company.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you have elected officials who are responsive and listen to their constituents, you also have what I would call a chief of staff that there's no, and you guys know this, living here as long as you have, that you have for example, an elected mayor that puts their people in place. And so one of the reasons that I think Murfreesboro and Rutherford County have been so successful is we don't have those dips, those highs and lows. We just sort of are steady. And part of that's because with a city manager, they're not firing and hiring people based on political preference or what, bringing their people in. The majority of the people that are managing the city of Murfreesboro have been there 20 plus years. And so they know what to do. And so that's probably, I'd say, the argument on why it's good, that, when it comes time to make a decision on a project that needs to be done, our city manager's not looking, and our staff are like, hey, we need to do something on the west side because this district said they wanted this and we didn't do this. So that's not what it is. It's like, hey, we need this project because this is good for the community and we're going to do that. So there's probably, I think Murfreesboro.
Great way to look at it.
I think at some point, look, I'm blessed that I'm self-employed. I have got a great team that works with me in my business every day, so it allows me to come in and do stuff like this.
Sure.
If I were not self-employed and I had, a 9-to-5 job, I think it would be very hard to do this position. So that's the negative with it, is you almost have to have someone that's either retired or that they're self-employed because they can set their own schedule. It takes a lot of time. But my wife routinely reminds me, you signed up for this, so.
So let's talk trash. So, obviously Wayne and I both served on the county commission, and I was back in I came in 2006. So we were talking trash then.
Yeah.
So it was a new issue. There was our solid waste, or guys would go, and they were traveling the country looking for other ways because we knew this day was coming. And, we voted back then kind of unanimously to let this thing go and put it to bed. Let's do something else. And it's been that way. So almost 20 years later, here we are still. So it is finally going to hit that, let's say that road that it's going to probably go away. And now Republic's come in and made some offers. And on the face, it does look good. And we, like I said, we had Mike on last week, and it does sound good. It's it's $1 billion kind of economic thing. And when we're talking about tax dollars and how to spend those, if you've got something supplementing that, then I can see where it stands. But that partnership has not been there for all these years. So all of us got a bad taste in our mouth.
Sure.
So I know you and Mayor Carr are working really hard. I guess I want to start first is y'all have a trash program where the rest of the county and Laverne and Smyrna does it, and you guys entered into kind of like a MOU with Rutherford County with the transfer stations and everything.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We have not done that yet.
Okay, I thought y'all had.
That was one
going.
of the things that Mayor Carr and I talked about and proposed maybe putting a study group together to work on that MOU. But I think some commissioners felt like that they were left out of the process, rightfully so. And I mean, I can admit and say, okay, that we could have done a little different there. So I think that's really a lot of the discussions that we need to have now.
Do you think with that, because obviously we talk a lot about the north end of the county and the Smyrna-Laverne area, is that something that maybe Smyrna-Laverne would maybe come in and have a seat at that table, because it's going to become a county-wide issue with not having it here and transporting it? So.
Yeah, I mean, that's a discussion we're having now. And we did that back when I was elected in 2014. One of the first things that Mayor Burgess and I did is we put together a group that included the county, the city of Murfreesboro, town of Smyrna, Laverne, and Eagleville. And we really went through this whole process of hired a consultant to talk about, what's next. And that's where the ideas of the transfer stations came up. That's where, they talked about Middle Point 2.0, and that group at that time said, whoa, we didn't go through this whole process to come up with Middle Point 2.0. We did this to determine sort of, what's next. And so I think look, I don't want to say anything negative about, Republic has a job that they have to do. They're wanting to maximize shareholder value. They're wanting to, be environmentally friendly, although, you can watch my video from last night. I think the way
I did.
Yeah, I don't think our community deals really well with people who are not telling the truth or trying to spin different things, and that's the part that they're doing their job, right? Their job is to convince you guys. Their job is to convince other people in the community why it's best to extend the life of the landfill for 50 more years and to continue bringing in millions of tons of trash from outside of Rutherford County. And, the part that I get frustrated about is, I hear from people to say, well, look, it's on the north side of the county. We really it doesn't bother us. But that's never been the attitude that Rutherford County has had with anything. If there's something that y'all need help on in Smyrna or Laverne, I mean, you can bet your rear end we're going to be there to help, And so, this is definitely more of a county issue. But this is the part where, and I'm not saying I get frustrated. Look, we've been in a federal lawsuit with Republic for the last 3 years now. And, the part that I get frustrated when we talk about a good neighbor, we're good neighbors. We had to sue Republic federally to be able to get some of their good neighbor stuff situated because it wasn't happening. And so, look, I respect Mike. Mike comes in, and I think he came in 6 years ago and really wanted to work on things. But, look, there's a past history from 30 years before that.
Right, exactly.
That you just can't – and I use the term to be like, look, if I'm an unfaithful husband and I tell my wife, hey, I've been faithful for a year now, that time before that's still there. I mean, God actually, there's grace that will fix some of that, but we have history on decisions and past performance that we have. And so a group that comes in and says, look, we want you to forget all that's hard to do.
Sure.
So, but I think the part that really we have to get, we're not geared, man, to run media campaigns. That's not what governments do, So the whole part, and to boil it down, this all comes down to free trash. That's what we talk about, right? So the trash that Rutherford County gets for free and that the city of Murfreesboro gets for free is what the county is what comes out of the convenience center and what comes from the schools. And I'm going to round up, and let's just say that that's 50,000 tons of trash a year. The city of Murfreesboro also generates about 50,000 tons of trash a year that we don't pay to tip. Now, we process their leachate. That's sort of our deal. But, and again, I'm going to round up. Say there's 500,000 tons of trash that's generated in Rutherford County. There's only 100,000 tons of that trash that's free. The other 400,000 tons of trash that's generated in Rutherford County, people pay for that.
Yeah.
And it all doesn't go to
that's their curbside. So, like, you all have it in Murfreesboro. The county, if you live in the county, Smyrna, Laverne, you're paying an
outside person.
So it's not free.
Right. And so I think the part that is disingenuous is when you get up and say that all the residents of Murfreesboro or the county are going to be paying more, your taxes are going to go up. Not really true, because there's a lot of people in Smyrna and Laverne who don't use Republic to pick their trash up. I mean, they don't have 100% market on that. And there's a lot of that trash that does not go to Middle Point. It goes to Antioch. It goes to Kentucky. It goes to different places.
Lewisburg. Yeah.
So I think the part that when you come out and you scare, we call it FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and you scare people and you tell them, look, your taxes are going to go up. You know, your solid waste fee in the city of Murfreesboro is going to go up. You know, that's not really true. And look, I get it's their job to sell why it's a good deal for them. But, I mean, I think it comes to the overriding factor that we talk about decisions that were made in the past. There are votes that I've made as a council member that I wish I could go back. I mean, one of those is One East College, 2 or 3 blocks from now, that project that hasn't gotten started. I wish I could go back. But I really think that if you were to go back into the mid-'90s, and the commission that was there, Nancy Allen, Bill Ketchum was on that commission, and you could say, look, this is what we have now. It's next to our water source, which, by the way, all that water source at Stones River flows to Smyrna. It flows to Laverne.
I live on Stones River.
Yeah,
it's in my backyard.
You know,
and my grandchildren play in the lake.
Yeah, well, I can't get into all of that stuff, but I think it's asinine to think that you've got a mega landfill. This would be one of the largest landfills in our entire country, and it's next to our water source. That's and right. So, look, you can say we're environmental and we don't ever have those issues, but that's not true. There have been issues that you can clearly document where there has been leachate and contaminants that have gotten into Stones River from the landfill. That's undisputed. And so the issue is, and it's also undisputed that you can, on the north side of Murfreesboro, even going all the way into downtown into the south side of Murfreesboro, that there are times you can open your door and you smell the landfill. That's undisputed. And so the issue is, and this is what I really think, that, overall, the county commission and the city of Murfreesboro and our residents have to determine that, do you want millions and millions and millions of tons of waste to come in for the next 30 to 50 years, and you want that to continue to happen? Now, I think it is fair to say, and this is the part where I go back, there's about 80,000 tons or 100,000 tons of free trash. But you have people in Smyrna and Laverne that are paying outside haulers anywhere between $20 to $30 a month for them to come pick up your trash.
Right.
So the argument to say for Republic that all those people's fees are going to go up, you can guarantee you that if Waste Management or some other group has the opportunity where they can come in and pick up, that's capitalism. So if Republic is charging too much because they're having to haul their trash somewhere else now, then, it'll sort itself out. So
when I was on the commission, I was an adversary to Republic. Even though I lived in the northern end of the county in Smyrna, I felt for the people having to endure the landfill all those years, and the smell and the trash on the road. My biggest concern today, although I'm still sympathetic, but my biggest concern today is the old landfill.
Sure.
That during my time on the commission, I had no one ever assure me that it had anything other than just an old-fashioned clay liner. And what is going into the groundwater and the river from the old landfill, and what happens if the EPA comes knocking on the door and say, hey guys, that's a pollution issue. Y'all got to clean that up immediately. And,
Well, I can't speak for the county. Although that is a county landfill, the city of Murfreesboro sent a bunch of stuff into that landfill. And so I think I've publicly said this, I think that anything that is associated with that landfill, we've got some skin in the game because we contributed to that. Here's what I personally would say in a lot of this, I wish that there's going to be some point where we can sit down and you guys can say, well, tell us about this and tell us about that. But we're not at that point because we're in that lawsuit with Republic. I think the county landfill, like any old landfill, has some issues that you're going to have continual maintenance. That is going to be the same thing that Republic has when Republic closes at Middle Point. There's a post-closure bond. I want to say the number's like $80 million that they've got a bond with the state of Tennessee because they're going to have to maintain their landfill.
Yes, sir.
In my opinion, if I were a resident of Rutherford County, I would be way more concerned about what's happening at Middle Point than I would be what's happening at the county landfill. I mean, that's really like comparing David and Goliath. You've got a massive landfill that has had significant issues, and that's it's like these talking points. Hey, for 30 months we've not had a TDEC violation. A major TDEC violation is what they say. Start researching all that stuff. Start researching when you say, hey, we're going to compare. We've got a landfill in Charlotte, North Carolina, where we've been good neighbors. That's a great example. Research that. So that's the part where, look, this is all about money, period. I mean, it's about money.
It's a business, yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So don't, and this is the part I get frustrated with, Wayne, and Rick, you would appreciate this as being an elected official. Can you imagine if Bob Parks, in my opinion, is one of the finest men as far as like community activists involved in a community, but can y'all imagine Bob Parks ever coming to me and saying, hey, Mayor McFarland, I know I've got an 800 lot subdivision that's coming in front of you, but before that comes, is there anything in the community that you could see as a need that I could donate and help to? And Bob's like, I'm a good corporate citizen. That's never happened in all my years of being counsel. And so it may not be illegal, but in my opinion, it is highly unethical for a group to go and say, look, we want to be a good community partner. What can I help you with? And I'm not saying that to any county commissioner. I think we have got some fine county commissioners. But to say that a group can come to you and, if they said, Mayor McFarland, is there a ball field you'd like me to? I'm a huge baseball coach, coaching middle school right now. And there's significant needs that we have at our school with our middle school program and baseball program. But would it be good for me to have the perception that a developer is coming to me saying, hey, can I make we want to help on that? That just doesn't make sense. So I think those are the things that, in this anonymous mailer that was sent out, I mean, Wayne, y'all were elected officials, and if you send anything out, by golly, your name's got to be on it. Yeah. So I watched this town hall, and this lady, they breeze over the question, and then all of a sudden this lady really pushes them. And they're like, yeah, we sent it out. But our name was like Republic Services has a proposal. It's like, well, no. Your name's not on. So, the commissioners are talking about these phone calls that they're getting. Well, like one commissioner that has said, I tried to call the numbers back and there's no number that I can talk to. So, I mean, this is just a full-on campaign, and I think that's the part. The overriding factor is, and Rick, you hit it, what's next? We need to have those discussions. But it's hard to have those discussions when you've got like this looming cloud over the top of you that every time that we try to talk about something, hey, the easiest part is to expand. Well, I mean, no crap. I mean, the easiest part is to say, like,
no pun intended.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest part is to say, yeah, let's bring in, more trash from Davidson County. And I mean, so this is where for 4 years now, even before this, we have asked the question, hey, Republic, tell us how much it would be to have a Rutherford County only landfill. Or even at that, a region only, which would be Coffee County, Cannon County, Rutherford County, and Warren County. Right. We can't get that number because they don't want to give that number.
Well, that's one of my questions I have over here if we did it.
Yeah.
We had him on last week, and it seems like the table, at this point right now, it seems like the table is open for that discussion. Yeah. It's just not happening. But there's a lawsuit involved. And, bad blood that I don't know if you want to sit down at that table with that. Thing at this point.
That's going to be hard to, especially like after what we saw last night. Not the video y'all saw me. It's hard. There's some really, I don't want to say hard feelings.
Yeah.
But, I think you never say never. I'm sure Mike Klassen is a good guy. I've sat around Mike before, and he seems like a good guy, and he's doing his job. And doing
he's got a job to do.
And doing it well. You
yeah.
know, but I think the issue is, when Mayor Burgess and I started this back in 2016, that I think the life of the landfill was, so take into account that's 10 years ago. The life of the landfill was like 6 years at that point.
That's right.
And so it's ping-ponged all over the place.
Yes, sir.
So depending upon which side you're on, if it's Republic says, hey, there's only 2 years left, so we need to do something right now. But I think the latest number, the new numbers had to be submitted April 1st, but the number that we got from TDEC and through Representative Terry, does a great job, it was like 6 years. So that, I think that
still another 6 years.
Yeah, still another 6 years left. And so we haven't got the new numbers, but think about it this way. If that were a Rutherford County only landfill, it's probably 20 years.
You're right.
So, but is that going to maximize their shareholder profit by having just Rutherford County trash go in there?
Not going to happen.
No. So, and then the other part with that is if they gave us a number and said, hey, it's going to cost you $160 a ton to tip there. Well, the market may be between $70 and $90 a ton. Well, we clearly would say, no, we're not going to do that. That's way above market. So that's the part where I think it's disingenuous sometimes to say that, hey, we're a good neighbor. And when we've asked that question, even going back to the Solid Waste Action Committee, is like, hey, what would it be to be Rutherford County only, and to truly be Rutherford County first?
It's called it's not profitable.
No, that's exactly it. And look, so that's the part where I would rather them just say, yeah, it doesn't benefit us financially just to make it a Rutherford County only landfill. It benefits us financially to have the atomic trucks from Davidson County come down one after another all day long. And so look, that's the thing. Just own it. Like the mail out. If you sent the mail out, you were asking, hey, elected officials need your input. You have it set up to where it's really one-sided, that you really only are looking for yes input.
Yeah.
Then just own it. Hey, we did that. Yep. And that's what we're having trouble doing.
You listen to the Tuesday Morning Roundtable Show with Rick and Wayne. We're talking trash with Mayor of Murfreesboro, Shane McFarland. We're going to take our second break and be right back with you in just a minute.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.
Progressive, it's easy to reach customer service with our app, website, chat, or by phone. Because when getting help is hard, it's not help at all.
Little help. A little help over here?
Thank you for calling Bench Press Assistance.
What?
Due to excessive gym volume, all available spotters are currently lifting heavy weights off the chests of other bench pressers.
Seriously?
Please continue to hold, and we will remove the barbell from your chest in the order in which your cry for help was received.
Getting assistance should be easy. With Progressive, it is. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-770-2727. 800-770-2727.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
At the Garden Patch Thrift Shop on Spring Street, we believe in more than just great deals. Every purchase you make helps Greenhouse Ministry serve over 70 families a day, offering hope and changing lives in our community. From name brand clothing to household items or even large appliances, you'll find everything you need at prices that will fit your budget. Plus, 100% of the proceeds go back to the ministry. Visit the Garden Patch Thrift Shop today across from the tall NHC building in downtown Murfreesboro, where shopping changes lives.
What if your limited inventory had unlimited potential? What if your biggest risk was not taking one? What if you could make every move matter? Bank of America's Business Solutions can help bring your biggest what-ifs within reach. Find out how our digital tools, cutting-edge insights, and trusted expertise can work for your business. What would you like the power to do? Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
Middle Point Landfill's Mike Klassen.
Between our property and the county landfill property, there are 1,000 contiguous acres.
Middle Point Landfill.
How do we make a career training center to help drivers and welders and technicians and environmental scientists and put a state-of-the-art property out there? Or maybe it's to build a multi-million-dollar STEM accelerator facility that partners with county schools that could utilize our 1,000 acres and all of the ecological preserve we have out there to really push STEM education.
The answer's here. Middle Point Landfill.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
And good morning again, and welcome back to the third and final segment of Tuesday Mornings with Rick and Wayne. And it's certainly been our pleasure this morning to have Murfreesboro City Mayor Shane McFarland with us, and no pun intended, but we've been talking trash or being trashy.
We're trashy, yeah.
But thank you for sharing with us. You've, I think in the last few minutes of our show that maybe talk solutions.
Yeah, and I think the ultimate solution is going to be, all of the elected officials relying on independent third-party data to help us make an informed decision and not an uninformed decision. And that's sort of one of the things that I haven't been criticizing, because it's our goal to work with all the county commissioners. I really do. I think the county and the city of Murfreesboro, we're in the best shape we've ever been of working together. There's a lot of projects that we need to move forward and not just talk about trash. But it's hard to make a decision when the only information you're getting is from a company that's got a significant motivation to be able to have that expansion. So, I think the solution is we need to get Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, Rutherford County, Eagleville back together. We need to have third-party consultants that are going to talk to us about, here are these things. Now, the overall solution, and I think it's fair, the overall solution is not going to be, hey, let's just take our trash long term. I think Mayor Carr has been very steadfast in saying this. The transfer stations are phase one of what needs to happen, and I think that's going to be waste of energy. Clearly, that's a good decision, because Republic. We just heard their advertisement on WGNS, Good Neighbors and Good Neighbor, right? That RNG is going to be a significant thing. Recycling needs to be a significant component. Mm-hmm. Right now, people ask about us about recycling, but every ounce of trash that we divert from the landfill right now just allows them to have more trash coming in from outside. So it's sort of an oxymoron. But I think there's, we talked about this off air. The Murfreesboro had a pretty significant plan on a waste to energy plan. We also had, that was with Waste Away, but also with a German company that we had really gone and found where, hey, this is going to work. TDEC right now has got we've had multiple meetings with our state delegation, and your representatives in Smyrna and Laverne, Robert Stevens, Mike Sparks, we were in a meeting last week. Great representation that you have those individuals fighting for y'all up at the Capitol. I think, and here's the other thing, do we really want to tie for the next 30 years? We're going to bring in everybody else's trash, knowing that there's going to be emerging technologies that are going to happen. And that's where I think it's just short-sighted to say we're going to bury our trash from here on out. We're going to allow for the next 50 years. I mean, Rick, I'm not a legacy guy. I mean, I'm not doing this to get a building named after me, but one of the things that I've impressed on most people that I've talked to is, I don't want people to look at us back like they look at the mid-'90s and say, look at the decision that the commission made back then, and I wish they would have made another decision. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would rather that be small decisions that where we say, look, the city council really screwed this road up. They should have done that different. We can fix that. This is a decision that if is made is permanent. I mean, this is a non-fixable decision. And that's the thing, as our time's running out, I think you have to look at past performance. And if you could look and you say, hey, this is what's happened over the past. If it had been a well-run organization out there, and we didn't have odor complaints, we didn't have water complaints, we didn't have those things, maybe it's a different discussion. But you cannot hide that we've had those. And that's the part where I really struggle with, that we want to paint this rosy picture that things have been great out there, that there's no issues, and it's been great the last 2 or 3 years. That's not true. And so my thing is like, if Republic gets what they want, what says that it's not going to go back to the way it has been? And, you throw out, hey, we're going to have this citizen oversight board. That Central Tennessee Solid Waste Board that denied the expansion, that Republic sued the Central Tennessee Solid Waste Board, guess who had to intervene to represent the Central Tennessee Solid Waste Board because this community board had no money?
Sure.
City of Murfreesboro right. did.
Yeah.
So the taxpayers paying for that. So ultimately what ends up happening is you have this citizen board that has no money. They have no legal representation. And so the county and the city are just back in it again.
Sure.
And so that's the part where I think you have to look at past performance and look, hey, if the people don't like the way that I've handled things over my performance, there's an option. They don't put me back in office. So in 2026, they don't vote for me again. When you sign this deal, and that's the part too, guys, the host agreement that was signed back in the 90s has a think clause in there that the county will not interfere with day-to-day operations or, basically. So every time that the county talks about, hey, we need to work on this, they can't, because in fear that Republic's going to sue them. So, I mean, that's the issue.
But see, that's where I wish TDEC, who's the regulator of this whole thing, would get involved.
Well,
and it's been a stalemate till lately, let's say. But
yeah,
I wish they would take a better front seat partnership with this deal, because they're the one regulating all these dumps throughout it. And
TDEC is like any governmental organization. There's only so much they can do, right? And we've had multiple meetings with TDEC. This is hard to believe. TDEC doesn't regulate odor. There's no one who regulates odor around a landfill. It's basically like, sorry,
wow.
They just don't.
See, I think that's probably just like a byproduct, just like a sewer station. It's going to stink. you know, when you're processing it, it's going to give it something.
But that's the crazy thing. We have a wastewater sewer facility that's next to the Riverbend subdivision. It was across the river from where Mayor Bragg used to live. No smell. So that's the part where, when you're bringing in thousands and thousands of tons of trash every day, and you don't get it covered up, and it rains, and it's going to smell.
Yeah.
So, I think the other part that we go along with this is it's easy to say this is what should be done and what could be done, but ultimately we've got a past performance record that we have to go by. And with TDEC, that got off track. One of the things that we are advocating with TDEC in our meetings is that TDEC gives us a list of third-party inspectors that they endorse. And so as a municipality, we say, it gives us the ability that we say, like, hey, we're going to have a third-party person inspect it ourselves. So it's just not relied to TDEC. It's somebody that TDEC trusts, because those inspections happen on a monthly basis. We ask the question, and TDEC's like, well, yeah, they could time and know when we're coming and when we're not coming. And so we've actually got those inspections where it used to be just one division inspected Middle Point, and now they're bringing in other people to inspect it. And it's crazy that a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, whenever we advocated that someone else needed to inspect it, they came in and they gave them an order to say they couldn't use this posi shell cover anymore. They had to cover with dirt because they weren't doing it the right way. So, I mean, we just have this history, and I think that's the part where it comes down to, this is what it comes down to. Do you want to take money, which is really what it boils down to? Do you want to leverage money over the health and welfare of our community? That's what it boils down to. And, I think what I'm hearing from the majority of people that I represent and the people in our county, if you talk to them and you just say, look, should we continue to bring in hundreds of thousands of trash from outside communities every single year to Rutherford County? They all say no. Well, then, that's where they've combated that and say, but hey, your property taxes are going to go up, which, is a tough one to really argue. That's
Mayor,
not correct.
Yep. Thank you for being with us.
No, thank you.
God bless you for your leadership.
No, man. Hey, these are always the good conversations to have.
Well, the more transparent you are, the better off it is. Like,
sure.
Well, I can
100%.
I can 100% tell y'all this: the elected officials in Murfreesboro, if you put this on an hourly rate by February, we're in the negative on the time that we spend. So
we understand that as
y'all
well.
Know. So we're definitely not doing this for financial gain. And I'll say this: people will say to me, "God, you just hate Republic." I don't hate Republic. I don't hate anybody. I just think that there's a pattern of things that I've seen in that data that we've collected that give me a different perspective of what I think's best for our community.
Wow. Yeah, I'm like Wayne. Thank you for being with us today. It just wasn't long enough. I had more
Thank
questions,
you.
man.
Yeah, we could do this for a while.
Yeah.
We'll do it. Hey, go Raiders.
Amen.
Hope everybody enjoyed our show, and we'll have another good show next week. We've got well, I guess we got Craig Harris coming on with us with the County Commission next week, so we might have one more week of talking trash, or at least a little bit.
We'll just continue to be trashy.
That's right. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy this week.
The Murfreesboro Fire Rescue Department is going door to door asking for your help in the 2025 special census. The only information they will ask for is your street address, the number of residents living at that address, and their first and last names. That's it, and it only takes a couple of minutes to complete. Information gathered for the special census provides funds to improve our public safety division, and that benefits the entire community. You can also fill out the special census online at murfreesborocensus.com.